Thank you for the organizers to actually have time to take the stage, and thank you for Dennis for warming up the audience. It's quite a challenge to speak afterwards, after such a brilliant presentation. Yeah, we're having a very short, limited time, and as the organizers very correctly put it, there is a very fine line in between the very regulated people in the investment community and unregulated people like ourselves. The company that's called Crypto Bazaar. I mean, we even, for the sake of the community, we even dressed appropriately so that you could recognize the difference between the regulated people and us wearing t-shirts. Anyway, if you allow me to go through a few steps of what we're doing with Crypto Bazaar as our platform and the fund, and later on we'll round up with showing you some examples of projects that are really down to earth. So with all the talks that we had today, they were starting with big pictures, with big infrastructural things, ideas that could be changed and altered with the implementation of decentralized blockchain technologies. Then going down a little bit with practical implementation of buying and selling bitcoins, you know, looking and being very happy with growing of the price of Bitcoin, and now we will go a little bit deeper with seeing what's behind it. What are those projects that are giving this growth to the investment community? Now, with Crypto Bazaar, just a few things. We are a platform that's since 2013 we're helping two parties to meet together. On the one hand, you have the projects that are seeking money for developing their business ideas, and on the other hand, we're uniting them with private investors who are looking for opportunities to growing their capital. We have three divisions, three directions of our effort. Number one is we give acceleration to projects and marketing of their ICOs. We run international demo day events in different formats, and we have two investment funds that are run in the, let's say, in the lending environment and then the crypto environment as well. We have about 70,000+ subscribers with 3,500 investors out of that, covering more than 40 countries online, and with about 2,000 incoming requests from projects globally every quarter. So there is quite a huge pipeline of projects that we're looking at and actually basically going through in order to look for potential opportunities for ourselves. There's just a few pictures of the events that we're running in different locations, some more pictures, some events that we're doing on the international scale. Some of them were just happening a few weeks ago. And there's a lineup of events that we are running towards the end of this year in Switzerland, China, Singapore, London, and so on and so forth. Now, our areas of interest are three. Number one, basically we're working with projects, with investors, and with everything, with the community, let's say. So basically with those who could help either of the side to develop themselves. So for the projects, we help them to prepare their ICOs, invest at pre-ICO and token pre-sale stages, and then market the ICO across the globe, at least in the areas where we're present. For the investors, we manage people's portfolio. We co-invest. We're happy to co-invest with people in different decentralized projects, and we're also happy to share and actually participate in deal flows as well. And for the industry players, we are in constant seeking of advisors, legal support, marketing support, because again, we have a huge pipeline of projects from different parts of the world, and all of them require help in this way or another. So for those who want to talk about it later, we're here, and you can look at this t-shirt later on. So, just a few words about blockchain and ICOs. The current situation of the current financial institutions, somehow the whole idea of companies raising capital to implement their business ideas has become very, very regulated. If we go back to the times of Ostindien companies in Holland, It was, the first auctions, the first equity papers rose specifically for the situations when there was when there is basically a venture company, right? When there is a ship that was sailing to some shores, and they were trying to hunt for bounties, right? And it was all about something in the future, something that doesn't exist. Whereas now, all the financial institutions are more geared to the companies that are already established. So basically, IPOs are basically created and are geared towards the companies that are standing on their feet and they can capitalize on their activities already. So it's not about raising money to do something, it's raising money to actually capitalize on what you have already done. Which leaves all the small businesses and startups, far behind. And the way you raise money there is basically through all these different approaches, right? You raise microloans, you go to your 3Fs, friends and families and fools, and at some stage, a few years ago, crowdfunding was quite a popular thing, right? If you're a startup, you will try to raise your money through crowdfunding. So basically, ICO is just a combination of the two things, of crowdfunding with a token which is very similar to your derivative, right? Like an IPO, but in a form of a blockchain token. And the only difference here is that in exchange for your venture investment, you receive a derivative that can have at least some potential for secondary markets, right? So you don't have to, when you enter as an investor some of the projects, you do not have to sit and wait for 3-5 years before this project earns money and pays you back. While when you invest into ICO, you get a token, and on the second day, when this token becomes listed on the exchange, you can at least theoretically have a chance to sell it. You don't have to wait for ages and ages. So that's why there is this huge growth of ICOs. In this chart, you can see the yellow market is the price of Bitcoin, and the black side over here is the number of tokens that are growing. So the total market size that is growing at the moment, of course, is due to Bitcoin on the one hand, and of course on all the token holders, on all the projects that are practically raising money in exchange for their tokens. So it's, but the projects themselves are exactly the same as they were years and years ago. It's just a venture project. So you do have to practice, you do have to examine it to make sure that that you give the money to those that can actually implement the business idea that they want. The market size, we can see if we look at the IMF statistics, then apparently cryptocurrency is holding less than 0.1% of the total money supply if we look at the global scale. So apparently we do expect a huge growth here, which is with a lot of multiples. And the good, interesting part about ICOs again is if we look at all the ICOs since about 2013 to April 2017, before the Japan news, and the rally that we witnessed through the year of 2007, then an average ICO would collect about $2 million globally. What happens now is that top ICOs collect more than 20 million. Now, and the difficult part about this is, that there's more and more ICOs coming on the global scene. If at the beginning of the year there was about 5 to 7 of them on the weekly basis globally, so you had time to actually go through them, investigate them, ask questions, then now on a weekly basis you have 70 to 80 new launches every week. So it's physically sometimes impossible for just a private individual to become very professional in actually dealing with this workflow. Just a few slides as well with the data analysis here. So in 2014, at the very beginning, most of the companies that were raising money through ICOs, they were about what they call core technology, so everything that's related to blockchain. Now there is more and more coming to, yeah, more and more are coming to, sorry, I'll just flip through some of the things. This slide is quite important. More and more are going to the areas of infrastructure, payments, gambling and betting, art and music, trading and investment. And apparently, again, the mathematics didn't give us any surprise here, again, because those companies that raise a lot of money at the very beginning, it's quite difficult for them to give you good returns on this amount of money, right? I mean, if you raise a few millions, it's easier to grow from the low base. If you raise 100 million, then it becomes more and more difficult. Because we're short of time, what I wanted to do now, we just flipped through slides, and I'll probably leave it at this stage. Yeah, what we'll do now is we'll show you a few projects that are within our pipeline, the pipeline of Crypto Bazaar. And each of them will present their business case. Some of them are, I mean, all of them are at different stages. Some of them are running their ICOs, some of them are just launching. So each of them will present their business case at about 3 minutes. It's 3 companies, and after that we'll round up. So I would like to welcome Ruslan with the company, Vasily with a company called Serenity Finance. Please don't confuse it with the spa that's downstairs here. It's, the name is the same, but the guys are doing quite a different job there. So please welcome.